Hey everyone! Avengers Infinity War has dominated pop culture discussion in recent weeks, with one recent TV spot featuring Doctor Strange confirming the possibility of time travel in this movie. What did he say exactly? And what implications do his words have on Infinity War and the broader MCU? Welcome to New Rockstars News, our deep dive into all the biggest stories this week. So yeah, we're also going to talk about the Batman solo film, Game of Thrones final season, It Chapter 2, and some troubling news about Stan Lee that keeps cracking up Tommy Bechtold because he doesn't have a heart.
Got the giggles.
I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
Stanley is near death.
No, I want Stan to live forever.
That's not what the troubling news is. Well, I'm Erik Voss. Joining me at the table are my friends in mid-sip.
Hello, it's Sam.
Hi, my name is Filup Molina. Nice to meet you.
And I'm a teddy bear that a little boy wished to life. And then when he became real, the little boy said no thanks.
Look it up. I think you used that one before. Go through every single time Tommy has guessed it.
Go to the NewRockstars News Wiki page to find all of our intros, intro bits. If it doesn't exist, get on it, friends. Okay, let's get started with our top story, Avengers Infinity War. It's probably going to be our top story for the foreseeable future, everybody.
You're welcome.
Marvel has been blanketing the airwaves with a series of new TV spots with interesting teases of major elements in this movie. We've been breaking down the juicier spots. I broke down the Chant spot earlier this week, and Mr. Sam Bashor over here broke down the most recent one that came out yesterday. It should be on the channel very soon. But perhaps the most interesting detail came out in a different spot, in which Doctor Strange tells Tony Stark that he traveled forward in time to see all the possible outcomes. Stark asks if they win in any of those outcomes, and Strange just stares grimly back at him. And then the trailer cuts away to something else. So this is confirmation that time travel via the time stone will happen in some form in this movie. But it brings up a lot of questions as to what exactly Strange meant by this. Is he implying all the possible outcomes led to their defeat, so they'll just need to try a completely different tactic in their fight against Thanos? Or does his grim expression suggest that the only outcome where they succeed is one where one of them, Iron Man, sacrifices himself? Or are we looking at a scenario where this could mean that some of the footage we've seen in the trailers are actually just part of these hypothetical outcomes that Strange sees, like Thanos walloping Iron Man or body slamming Spider-Man? Are those real things that happen, or are they just part of the Thanos kills everyone montage that just gets reset, kind of like the ending of Doctor Strange, that movie? So this line also clarifies how the time stone works. It allows Strange to travel forward in time to see what happens, but not necessarily influence any past or future events. Okay, so I've been talking a lot. I want to know from you guys what you think Doctor Strange meant by this. How does this revelation change what we know about the MCU?
Well, real quick too, is it Guardians that also had alternate versions that we saw? Do you remember that? It was like different ways that they kept dying. One of the Marvel movies or something from the last 5 years or whatever also did that exact same thing.
Age of Ultron, right? Like
Iron Man
where they
died.
sees the
no, but it was
nightmare.
comedic actually. It was just like they described so then we'll do this, and then they get smashed and killed, and then it's I don't remember which one it was right now. But my point is, it could be that exact thing.
Is there something in Spider-Man Homecoming where that happens?
That sounds like the movie that would do it. I don't know.
It might have been the first Guardians or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think that takes the piss out of this movie if you were to do something like that, to do the bit again of showing the alternate futures. Also, it's guys, we're allowed to kill everyone we want. Kind of. It's hypothetically they're dead in another timeline somewhere, but really everybody lives. Y'all can buy the toys when you can go home. It's everyone's happy.
You can't buy toys of a dead character. It's illegal.
You can. You can find them if you know who to ask.
Tommy,
You're the one
teddy bear, bottom line.
As a reanimated toy yourself. I almost said corpse. But whatever noun follows reanimated other than
Just say I got a lot of Iron Man toys in my chest right now.
In your chest? Stop inhaling Iron Man.
my toy chest.
Does it take the piss out of it? I think that it's because we both are referencing a lot of times when we talk about Infinity War in the comics, when you see the way that Thanos destroys the Avengers, it's so fun to see that I think it'd be worth it to just straight up see him pop their heads and do every single little thing he could do, even if it meant and then we got to undo it or whatever. I just want to see that on, what is it, 70-foot IMAX or whatever? Yeah.
I just hope they don't burn through all that in this movie, because they already have 4 at least different storylines that are going on at the exact same time, and then one of them is having a time loop thing going at the same time. I'm like, That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with.
Well, if it is what I think it might be, is there's an episode of the show Community, which the Russo brothers directed many episodes of, where the character Abed, like they were playing a game where you roll the dice, and the whole episode is structured off of there's a different storyline for each of the numbered dice. That gets rolled. So you see these different alternate futures, and in his mind, he kind of sees like 6 different timelines for him. And I wonder if the Russo brothers are trying to, it was considered one of the best episodes of Community. And I wonder if they're trying to do the same thing with Avengers Infinity War, where you just see Doctor Strange as that character is quickly, just maybe not as like a huge crux plot point.
Nicolas
but
Cage's movie Next.
Yes.
No,
it's just
see different ghost timelines.
It's just Doctor Strange. You said is the one who looks forward, but it's definitely Spider-Man doing fan like fiction of like
He would
what's
be kind
the
of the other
ultimate
parallel.
way
Yeah.
I can
Right.
be a part of this.
I'll say, I think, though, that if I had to put money down on what I think is happening, I think it's got to be, it happens in a lot of time travel movies. It's the, you do time travel and you mess things up so bad and it ends in failure, which is what Doctor Strange would be alluding
Flash,
to.
like the entire of the Flash.
Yeah,
Oh, the Flash.
yeah,
The whole
Flash,
show.
the Flashpoint is doing that again and again and again and again every time. But also, if you ever saw the cartoon show Mighty Max, if anyone saw that, the series finale of Mighty Max is them failing, and then it starts back over at the series premiere of Mighty Max.
like a Dark Tower kind of thing, a little bit.
Potentially,
happens?
yeah, I don't know. I won't
okay.
read it. But Mighty Max did that. A couple of things that have done that. Just that idea that, like, well, we messed it up so bad, we got to go back to the beginning, and then beginning of Phase 4, maybe.
Interesting. And you start all over again, different actors, same movies, different actors.
Kinda, yeah. Honestly, they do a different take on, Iron Man, a couple of the Iron Man movies or whatever. Because that's the one, obviously, I think that is most likely to recast.
Interesting.
But what's kind of fun about this possibility is it sets up like wish fulfillment, right? Like we don't have to have every matchup be like fateful, depending or determining the end result of the movie battle. We can just see Thanos matchups against a ton of different characters and just kind of like test the waters with each
And
one.
I think that needs to be paid off. It's been, like Thanos has been in so many of these movies, like peripherally, like he needs to kick a lot of ass. And they said that he's going to be he has the most screen time in the movie, right? Is it him and then...
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They said it was him and then...
and maybe Doctor
Garfield?
Strange.
Yeah.
Bring him in from another reality.
It's him and Odie
Mondays.
and John and the whole lasagna gang. It takes place on a Monday, so it's a really tense scene. It does matter. It's not just a throwaway. It's linchpin. Anyway, let's move on.
No, what was interesting is we'll talk about this a bit later, but they have, there was lots of different versions of the script that went out, and there was rumors that like not everyone on the cast read the whole
That literally
script.
no one.
That no one did. Yeah. There was an interview, I think, on Graham Norton or some British talk show where it was like Tom Holland and Benedict Cumberbatch and Loki actor
Tom Hiddleston.
And they,
how could you not know that?
Right? Yeah, I know. There's like 20 names I have to remember that honestly aren't that
in your
hard.
life.
Yeah,
Mom.
the 20 people you meet in heaven.
The man.
But they were all asked like, which have any of you read the complete script? And they all pointed to Benedict Cumberbatch. So even if he hasn't read the full script, I feel like Doctor Strange will have a lot to do in this movie.
Does that confirm your theory that there are different timelines we're going to see? And so the people that read their scripts, they read their timeline and where that goes. And he, as the master of it all, has to be able to see each one and know them.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah. But I just hope that like time travel doesn't break it, like it's so easy, it's so hard as when you're writing a script or when you're even watching a movie for time travel to be introduced and for it to still make sense. Like at most you can just introduce it for like one chapter of your story and then back away from it, the way like Prisoner of Azkaban introduced the idea of time turners, and then Game of Thrones season 6 introduced the idea of time travel, and they never addressed it again because that's a complete game changer. So I hope it's something that's just like introduced as a piece of this story, but not something that is like the complete third act that would change everything that we see in the MCU, because as nerds, those like thought experiments can just be like talked ad nauseum.
I want it. I want them to go, I'm serious, I want them to go all at it. I want them to make not the mistakes, but I want them to hit it like Primer did, where like we're gonna have charts after and we're gonna have to be like timeline A1 is this. Oh man, I geek out for that so hard.
Primer is I've heard many time travel fans that love time travel movies, it's like the one that you're supposed to see.
Yeah, Primer.
It's the hardest one to watch.
It's like reading an essay a little bit. It's not so much a like narrative payoff, and the actors are just like they're Stanford grad students who wrote and acted in this movie. So it's just the most perfect time travel logic. Went on to.
I just remember got with Annie from Community.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah.
Both of them.
There you go.
If you're going to do time travel, I would say I like your idea of it just being visions, and that way it's like you're not affecting anything really. It's just like as soon as you see it, you can get a line of like, well, since I saw it, I don't know if I can, even if they saw the best version of it, they're like, don't know if that means we can do it. It just means that like we could maybe do it and the fewest amount of people could die.
Yeah.
Like, so a lot of people go die.
And hopefully if they do use it, it'd be something that like justifies some questions that we've had from past MCU movies. It'd be really fun.
Timeline
8 years
fixed.
later, if that would be the reason, I have doubts that
And-
it is. But
And like, how sure are you guys that a lot of people are going to die in this movie?
There's a teaser currently that I talk about in the video I do.
Right.
There's a character having a reaction and needing to be held back. And so you're like, whoever this person's attached to,
Yeah.
based on other clips of you seeing who's around at the same time, you're like, that person probably didn't just get like flicked real
Right.
hard.
A lot of people are thinking that's a fight scene, and that you just
cool.
described. They think no. I
those
mean,
two
like they think
characters
that
are
that's a fight, and I agree with you. I think it's being
because
held
there was
back.
another clip that came out later of another reaction. You're like, that's not a.
Did they
that's
do it that way too? Like no.
No, because they shot multiple things for different
Yeah,
trailers,
exactly.
so they're like can get a couple different expressions and we're good.
yeah. Well, let us know what you are hoping for with this time. What is your theory on what Doctor Strange meant by that line? Do you think it's something that was just shot for the trailer, as many of this, as we've seen in the past? A lot of footage is just shot for the trailers. They had the budget to do it, and it's not in the movie.
How do you think the time travel is actually going to go? Like, whoever wins, whoever gets it exactly right, gets a shirt.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And an Iron Man action figure.
You're going to try to offload a bunch
These
of
gotta
these.
go. I'm sorry, I ordered
Gotta
way too
offload
many.
a few.
We'll cough a few up. But yeah, let us know. But in the meantime, let us move on to this week's trivia question. It kind of stays in this theme. So it is, Doctor Strange themed, since he's kind of the star of this. People are reading ahead on what the question is because I stupidly put it on prompter instead of teasing you with it.
You put the answer there too?
Oh, did I? Oh,
No,
I
he
hope not.
didn't.
Okay. In Doctor Strange, when he comes to bargain with Dormammu, trapping him in a time loop, Dormammu threatens him by saying, "You will suffer." What callback line does Strange say in response? Okay, those are all of our answers in the little tub there. Later in the show, we will reveal the answer to the trivia question. The closest answer, as decided by our judge, will do our sign-off goodbyes, and they can do in whatever voice they want to do.
I hope it's Tank.
Tank.
I hope it's Tank.
Tank's always teasing a comeback, but he never quite makes it happen.
We got a lot of letters about Tank being offensive
Yeah.
to the military and to...
We lost a lot of advertisers as a result of Tank. Meanwhile, the loser of our trivia question, as decided by our judges, will have to cleverly riff on our in other news headlines. It's always a treat, right?
I wrote down
tuned.
multiple answers just to
So
kind
you
of.
already lost.
Okay, before we move on to another story, a quick update with some breaking news this week. Jake Gyllenhaal confirmed in an interview that he will actually not be playing the Batman.
Liar.
It remains unknown what exactly the future is for the Caped Crusader, but for now, Ben Affleck is still attached to play.
There's some people who have very specific, like really striking physical features. If Bruce Wayne in that world had those baby blue eyes that you can fall into,
And that slightly extended tongue.
yeah, it's sticking out. You can't even get that bad boy in his mouth.
He's really flaky.
Know that was, you know who Bruce Wayne was immediately.
Oh, it'd be too obvious.
Yes. And the show
Yeah.
Black Lightning, Chris Williams has the best beard I've ever seen on any TV show. And then he puts on goggles, and you're like, I know that beard. I know that
yeah.
beard. It's
Yeah.
one person.
I was excited. I'm let down. I'm sad.
I'm let down.
Okay, well, let us move on, cheer ourselves up with some Game of Thrones news. Updates on the final season. That, I wouldn't consider these to be spoilers, but if you want to go into season 8 completely blind, maybe skip this section, but really, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Okay, an Instagram post by an assistant director on the show's final season thanked the crew for their work on the show's longest shoot, an epic battle sequence. He says it took 55 consecutive nights, 11 weeks in 3 locations, predicting that when viewers see the episode, it'll be something that's never been done before. Until now, the longest shoot on Game of Thrones was the Battle Battle of the Bastards in season 6, which took 25 days to shoot. Now, it doesn't completely surprise me that a nighttime shoot would take longer than usual. From a production standpoint, it's a lot more complicated to shoot stuff at night. But this also gives another reason why the show's production might have pushed back to the winter time, because, of course, nights are longer in the winter to give them more hours of darkness to shoot in. So, you guys, without spoiling or speculating too deep into spoiler territory, what does this update tell you about the show's final season?
They're finally using real dragons.
Yeah, they found them.
And they're going to be difficult to shoot when you have a dragon on set. I've worked with many dragons, fabulous dragons, the best dragons, and they're difficult to control. And I believe that they probably killed real people as well.
Sure.
So that's my speculation as to why it took 55 days.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think these actors are going to show a lot of wear and tear in this final
They'll be
season.
real tired.
Just like real actual just grumpiness, but I think it actually will read as like somebody's going to win an Emmy off of this season,
Yeah.
but because they were just upset the whole time.
Legitimately miserable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
I also want to point out that they said that this is not the longest shoot they'll have before the end of the series.
Oh,
Be
that sounds
another one
awful.
longer
Oh my
than
God.
this. Which
The
tells
other one's a
me-
meeting.
Yeah.
12 Angry Men.
It's just a Cersei speech with a wine goblet where she's just walking
Yeah.
and talking.
73 days of shooting. So I think that this actually tells me that this is probably the mid-season battle,
Ooh, yeah.
earlier battle. Yeah.
They probably don't want their actors to want to come back, because I wouldn't want to come back at the end of that. 55 days? Are you kidding me? In night shoots?
55 nights.
55 nights.
Life is
Yeah.
Totally.
Sometimes you
flipped.
sound like Buffalo Bill. Yeah. Just look it up if you want to see what I'm talking about. Look
Great
up.
big fat lady.
Yeah, I wouldn't want.
We're going to shoot at night every night because I like to watch Frasier.
Yeah.
She does what she's told.
Look up Buffalo Bill pictures, and
what are
you'll know
you-
who we're talking about.
I'm talking about the football team.
You look talking about the Buffalo Bills. The greatest.
To me, this we're looking at 6 episodes, and from everything we've heard, each of these episodes is going to be like its own movie feature. Like they're
Right.
extended; they're going to be like 80 or 90 minutes long.
That's so
when
much.
you're talking 55-day shoots on one sequence, that's like what goes into a film production.
Yeah.
Like most film productions are like on average 7 or 8 weeks for a big movie.
Right.
I think that's 11 weeks. I mean, they probably shot this over the course of 11 weeks. Game of Thrones normally has like 3 different crews. One's in Belfast, one's in Croatia, one's in Spain. So he might have been using those numbers to talk about like the other crews as well. He said 3 locations, but in this case, he was talking about 1 episode worth of content that we're going to see. This is going to be wild. He also notice how he calls it this for the night dragons. I don't know what that refers to. Something involving dragons at nighttime. I mean, if you're following the Watchers on the Wall and other like leak sources, which I try to avoid, you might know. So I would avoid those kind of things. I shouldn't have even told you about
I
it.
don't even know.
But there have been some leaks of like what this battle could be. So yeah, just try to gird your loins
Yeah, tell
as
us,
you're
tell us
avoiding
again where
things.
the bad boys hang out.
The Colgate stable on.
Tell us again.
I think the Knight
About these
Rider
loins?
could be a hint to that dragon from How to Train Your Dragon, and I feel like it's a pretty cool
Oh.
crossover in the making.
What was his name? Bigfoot?
No
They're
teeth.
toothless.
Toothless. Yeah, no teeth.
Is this
Yeah.
way meaner? Hey, no teeth. I'm gonna ride you now.
Yeah.
No, I just remembered Eric used to get called No Nuts.
I did not get called No Nuts.
You did, and it's
There's
and you
one
know.
time where it happened. And should I tell the story?
No, it's too long a story.
No.
You'll
We'll,
just have
I
to-
do it
think
in
that-
a
It sounds fun.
Patreon video.
Yeah, we'll
Call
do it
in
on the
if
side
you wanna
somewhere.
hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to another quick update here about It Chapter 2. Part
spooky,
2 of
too
last year's Stephen King horror movie is scheduled to begin shooting this July, focusing on the kids' battle with Pennywise 27 years later. Jessica Chastain has signed on to play the adult version of Beverly. Meanwhile, Bill Hader and James McAvoy are also in talks, with McAvoy to play Bill, the group's leader, and Hader to play the wisecracking Richie. That was Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things
It
character.
was John Ritter, right, in the original one?
Yeah, he played the adult Richie, right?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Which is
cool.
it's just interesting because I remembered, I think we talked about this back in October, and they asked each of the kids who they wanted to play the adult version of them, and I think Bill Hader was Finn Wolfhard's choice to play the adult version of himself. So I guess they're just letting little kids run Hollywood now, right? Whatever.
The Stranger Things kids do run in Hollywood.
They got real
They
sad.
can do whatever they would.
Is there something you want to get off your chest?
I think that kid's great. I don't have a problem with.
So
it.
you-
Because you
Bill
can't
Hader's
have children
awesome.
doesn't mean you should hate them.
Yeah.
No nuts.
There's a lot of alternative ways you could bring a child into this world, or just take an existing child and adopt them.
Tommy's got a lot ready to go when Infinity War drops.
I'm vain. I need my kid to look like me at least half
Poor
of the way.
kid.
No, adoption's a great option. Everyone should be adoption is an option. That's something that should be a slogan, right? Yeah.
I'm sure it has been for years.
An option.
Okay, well, not to darken the mood. But let's move on to some troubling news about Stan Lee, of course, the Marvel Comics visionary creator of characters like Spider-Man, the X-Men, Black Panther, several other characters that we all know and love. Okay, guys, an investigation by The Hollywood Reporter claims that Stan Lee may be the victim of manipulation and elder abuse. Since the death of his wife, Joan, last year, Lee, who's now 95 years old, appears to be under strict control of his daughter and her associates, which some believe might not be operating in his interests. Lee and his wife had previously set up a trust for their daughter, the 67-year-old J.C. Lee, to give her exorbitant but fixed payments throughout a reportedly tumultuous relationship in the family. But since Joan's death, JC has allegedly been trying to pressure her father, resulting in Stan firing his longtime lawyer who had co-signed a document with Stan criticizing Stan's daughter. And then JC's friend then had Stan make a video distancing himself from that document. It's very complicated. Now, JC's people have also allegedly limited Stan Lee's contact with his longtime assistant from daily check-ins to weekly supervised visits. Stan has also fired his longtime housekeeper and gardener, and now new accountants and lawyers were hired for him. His phone number has been changed, and they are now reportedly sending and reading his emails for him. They say it's because he has, failing vision, but who knows what's really going on. This report is long. It's filled with insane details, guys. You can go check it out in your own time if you want. But perhaps the creepiest detail I want to single out is one associate's merch idea to blend Stan Lee's blood into special DNA ink for pens and for stamps, which they say Stan was cool with, but yeah, sure, okay. And then Stan Lee's estate, guys, is estimated to be worth between $50 million and $70 million. He reportedly receives a $1 million payment a month for his ties to Marvel. And of course, he appears in all the movies. Now, we cannot verify how much of the claims in this article are 100% accurate, but it sounds like Stan Lee has a lot of really dark forces in his life that are just trying to make money off of him. Kevin Smith has actually offered to let Stan Lee live in his house.
That's a really dark force.
Yeah, another dark force. I don't know.
That sounds like a necessary offer. By the way, I didn't really hear that as necessary.
Well,
Come live in my house?
it's not necessarily like, I don't know if he's under physical threat other than this creepy blood ink idea.
Yeah.
But it just sounds like he's got a lot of just people who have different emotional
So he's just trying
ties
to say
over him.
you can escape.
If you just
hang
want
out
to get
with
away
me
from
and get
everyone.
high with Jay
Yeah.
and-
But Stan Lee's responded to all this recently. He said that he'd sue anybody that were to keep talking about his daughter that way.
What form did he respond in?
He
As in video or text?
I think it was audio. That part I don't know where it came from, but he said it was all untrue, and he said that this they're lies, and he'll take action for people accusing his daughter of that.
That's what's hard. And this is not, we're just, we are not saying any of this. We're reporting what the Hollywood Reporter has said. And we don't necessarily believe everything in this article.
Blood stuff is
The blood stuff is creepy. What
That's
is
the thing
troubling.
I'm the most into, though. That's what I'd like to follow up on.
Invest
Where
heavily
can I
in
get
those
some of
pens.
these blood pens?
blood stamps at the very least.
Yeah, I think what is kind of troubling, if you read this article, they talk about Stan Lee's responses, and many of them were in videos released by some of his daughter's people.
They
So
were
they
all
sat down the
cameos that he made
camera
in Marvel movies.
and
edited together.
we don't know how much he's really under control over what he's saying, or when you're under the emotional influence of someone, who knows what you're really in control of, especially at an
your
age when you're
daughter.
isolated.
Right.
Yeah, it's your own daughter.
Who you would trust implicitly. Now, I think it's really hard for us to comment on what is actually happening without knowing, and especially just speaking personally for a second, if it were me as as the child, gets complicated.
Mm-hmm.
It gets so complicated that you just you can't understand what their family dynamic is right now. But I feel like we can talk about the whole thing that kind of launches thing, which is the convention appearance, where it was multiple days of getting in line for autographs and pictures with Stan Lee, and people were like, this guy couldn't, hold his arm up anymore, and he would fall asleep literally between, like, one person comes up, and then he would fall asleep as they walked away, and they'd just kind of shake him and wake him up, and they'd like, all right, Stan, write S-T, and they had to spell his name for him.
Oh, God.
That this guy was like completely out of it, and that they ended up having to refund a lot of people because they never got to them in the 2 days. That it was all supposed to be like one signing session. So that's kind of, I think, the inevitable thing. Is Stan Lee too old for these kinds of appearances,
Right.
the cameos, all that? And even if he's interested, is he too old, or do we have right to retire him for himself?
Yeah, he deserves like a retirement, right? The guy's had such a great career and given so many great things to the world. Like, let him live the rest of his life.
But maybe he doesn't want it. Like, that's
and
the thing.
if
It's like he doesn't want it.
Is it is that okay? Like,
Well, some of the people involved in this are people who do all of his booking. They have a stake in him going out on these appearances and signing
charge for
things.
those-
And they
those
charge and they make a
signatures,
cut of that. So I don't know
He
how
has
much.
his own Comic-Con that's coming up soon. So it's
Right.
like he's got to kind of be there, like, for the most part, unless he can actually speak up and does not actually want to go. But he probably does because he created partially this entire industry.
But what's scary about this is, like, when you hear that he's like firing people who have been lifelong
That
associates.
to me,
right?
Yeah.
It does sound
Strange.
it does sound strange, but also, like, coming from a personal experience, you don't know how family dynamics work. Getting older, you start to, like, sometimes people start to lose trust, and you get overly anxious, or I'm blanking on a word I'm trying to, like, look for in my head right now. I don't know, but basically you start to make really rash, quick decisions that you are like, this seems totally out of character. And sometimes that's just normal.
And who knows? Maybe this is
sad,
we're
but-
looking at this completely through the wrong lens. It could be these longtime associates were people who were like manipulating him for decades,
Yeah.
and then finally, when his wife passed away, the people, or she might have been the person who's protecting those manipulators, and then finally people were like, no, we're gonna clean shop and rescue you. It is impossible to know. It just presents kind of a warning sign for anyone who's successful and gets older. Like, it's hard to know what those constants are in your life, and what sources should you trust.
I think the question is, and I mean, I'd be interested to hear each of your answers. Would you still, right now, pay for a ticket to get Stan Lee's autograph?
After hearing the story you just told, I don't think I would, because I think I would feel guilty if I got up there and he struggled to sign his name and had to be told how to spell it. I wouldn't blame anyone for wanting to, be around someone with that much contribution to things that we love.
Right.
But for me personally, I think it would be too much of a bummer if he was really that bad off. I don't think I'd want. I've seen him, like, give a speech at a convention and be very full of life, and, like, that would be a better way to remember him by, like, rather than have this new terrible memory, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go do it just because I know anytime with these fan events and Comic-Con and all these different things, there's lots of different, like, stakeholders in those things. It's an industry in of itself, and I get that, like, money goes lots of different places, but just there's enough doubt in it, and it seems like Stanley's not enjoying it. So I'm happy with just, like, seeing him pop up in different MCU movies and remembering him as the great creator that he was and is. Just leaving it at that.
I wouldn't. I kind of had a special back Source Fed Nerd days. We actually got to do a video with him, and that was very special. It was like we had to, like, shoot separately to put his part into the video. But he, like, was so full of life, and, like, we gave him a line. That's all I had to say was, like, no. But he was like, I'll do it this way, and he's like, I'll do it this way, and, like, he came up with his own ideas for it. So it's just like, cool. That's it. That's all I want. I don't want whatever you're going through now. I don't want to have any small, tiny little hand into making it worse.
Right.
So if he wants to do that, that's on him. And like everybody said, you shouldn't feel bad if you do want a signature from him because he's still there, and that's how it's working.
Yeah.
So it's like, but again, us, no thank you.
Yeah, without elongating the discussion, I'll just say that, all of us, I also feel the same way, would not do it. There is a thing that is kind of like, are we forcibly retiring him? Are we choosing to retire that guy who is choosing to do it? That's just an interesting thought that, again,
Maybe.
if he does want to do it. But yeah.
But maybe not everyone knows about this, so going to a convention, you just wouldn't have any of this information going into it. So.
I think the best takeaway is for everyone, whether it's people who are close to him or fans, is just, like, let him make his own decisions and live his own life and stop looking for ways to benefit off of him and just, I don't know, rather than just assuming what he wants.
Just want his blood. That's it.
Yeah.
Just for
Just
the.
want a little bit. I mean, how much blood could he possibly have? Like a pint?
I mean, look at him.
Half a pint.
Well, Tommy doesn't. It's not specific to Stan Lee. Tommy's getting all of our blood.
I
Use
just give me your blood.
Just catheter bag out.
I was told I'd be
Catheter bag is
paying
not blood.
for this.
Edit that out. No, he's shaking
And
his
if
head.
you have blood
Yeah.
that you want to send in, send us envelopes full of blood.
Oh my God.
P.O. Box 1906, Studio City, California. Is it 91612? I think.
I don't know. I know.
Okay, guys.
Why?
It is time
Takes that
to move on
Bottom line's blood
to our
fest.
new Rockstars news lightning round.
Oh, so much blood!
Okay, you guys tweet us question.
I
I'm gonna
always get
fire
one that I
them.
don't understand, so
Fire
I
these
can't wait for
questions,
this
firing
one.
them straight at my co-hosts. You guys got to answer these questions as quickly, without hesitation as possible. There's side conversations. I don't care because I got to move on. I'm scared of where we're going. All right, here we go. Sam.
You're all getting blood in your
at
mail.
Isaiah E93 wants you to rank the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. villains from worst to best. Hive, Ada, Ward, Dr. Leopold.
Okay, look at the list.
Yeah,
Okay,
worst to best.
Worst to best. Where
There you go, right at the top.
All right, quick. We'll do it. You gave all the good ones. Hive at the bottom, then a Ward, Ada, and then Dr. Leopold at the top. There you go.
good. There you go.
They're all
Thank
real
you.
good.
They're all real
You get a
good.
season to develop them.
All right. Choo, Filup. At 1FJCO is coming back with another great question. Do you think we'll see Pepper donning her iron suit? And would you even want to see Rescue being introduced into the MCU?
Wow.
I'd rather Pepper Ann. Such a random reference.
Pepper Ann, much too cool for seventh grade.
No, I don't think so. I actually do think it'd be kind of cool, but I do not think that'll happen.
Okay. At Tommy at the Ryan Blade wants to know,
What's up,
how do
Blade
you want Infinity
brother?
War to end? How do you think it will end? But how your selfish little heart wants it to end?
Sorry, could you read that again?
How do you want
that
to-
actually the way he wrote it?
How do you want
Yes, it
Infinity
is.
War to end? Not how you think it will end, but how your selfish little
Selfish
heart
little
wants
heart.
to end.
Selfish
Well, first of all,
little
heart.
thank you for calling my heart little.
Undersized.
Doctors would disagree. Let's think about this. I think I want it to end in my selfish little heart with everybody just getting along and hugging each other, and Thanos going, I look like Grimace and Bruce Willis. And this is what has become of me now. So I'm a Bruce Willis Grimace hybrid, and I'm going to go live my life in McNugget Land with Mayor McCheese and the Hamburglar and all the Fry Kids. And that's how I would. That's how it would go.
Kids?
Yeah, from McDonald's, all the McDonald's characters.
What are the nuggets in that world? Are they animals?
I think they're just like little
They're their
Wait,
children.
the fries are more involved than the nuggets?
well,
Makes sense.
it's all a
Potato.
spectrum.
calling me
I
a
don't want to get
potato.
into the sociology of McDonald's land right now.
Well, McDonald's is also where I was called No Nuts, but that's just one for another day.
It's come full
Look,
circle.
Ryan Blade, look what you've done.
And I'll give you 3 options. So.
That's the one you got. Let's see. Eric, I've got 3 options to read through real fast. What's,
Pitch a title for Avengers 4.
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
Eric's pitch a title for Avengers 4. The
Ooh.
Diana.
She fell off
the
a cliff
Diana
when
wants
she
to
was
know.
making her
At the Diana.
Okay, Avengers 4. So we have Infinity War, Avengers 3, Infinity War, Avengers 4, how Thanos got his stones back.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, and he goes to
That's-
Jamaica and hooks up with
Tay Diggs.
Tay Diggs.
Tay Diggs.
Yeah.
Tay
See,
Tay
I
Diggs.
Diggs.
don't know a lot about what we talk about on this show, but I do know that movie very
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
front to back.
Angela
Well,
Bassett.
Thank you for
Whoopi Goldberg.
tweeting us all your questions, guys, and keep those tweets coming. But next up, we'll take a look at what we got in the pipeline for videos coming out on this channel in the next week. Of course, we have Sam made a video that we talked about.
We're doing an Avengers Infinity War Legacy TV spot breakdown. That's what they're calling it. I'm doing that. Also, the final MC rewatch Doctor Strange, because Erik and the team at NewRockstars actually did. We're just a year out now, so that'll be the last one I'm doing. So hopefully you guys are excited for it.
Yeah, guys. Also, on Sunday, we have the season finale of The Walking Dead, Season 8. I will be doing a breakdown of that, and I will be delighting 4 out of 5 of you with my Negan and Rick impressions. And then we also, I don't know if you saw this, just breaking today was a trailer for Incredibles 2. We had a teaser come out a couple months ago, and we have a full trailer now, so we're going to do a video on that. We also want to do, we teased this last week, but we had some like breaking trailers come out over the weekend. We want to do a video on Hawkeye. Like, what's going on with him? Why isn't he in any of the promo stuff? He started to pop up in some of the promo stuff. but they have a reason for not putting him in so much. We haven't really seen him in any of the video.
We have a guess.
We have some interesting
And
thoughts on
as
that.
always, on my private YouTube channel, there's a 30-minute plea to my ex-wife to let me see my horses again. I just want
Live
to see
stream each time.
I just want to see my horses. I just want to see a little Misty and my little running guy.
He does mean human daughters, by the way.
They got long faces though. They got horse faces like their mother, so I call them my horses.
Jessica Parker. And,
Anyway, let's have fun.
Tommy.
Let's do some shout-outs.
Okay, guys, now it's time for our 15-second shout-out, where each of us has 15 seconds to shout-out, plug, or ramble about anything they want. Sam, take it away.
You can check out my podcast, Only Stupid Answers, because we've been doing movie reviews pretty regularly. But for extra weird, fun stuff that's McDonald's Land related, you should go to Grimace's Wikipedia page. Because,
Yes.
dear Lord, it is the... Oh, man.
15 seconds.
Oh, I'm done. That's
Just
it.
leave it there. Okay, I might have talked about this last week. I think Sam actually might have plugged A Quiet Place, the horror film that was actually #1 at the box office. So I don't really
Heard
know
of
why I
it?
need to give attention to this, but it's so amazing. We just did a video about the ending and some of the questions that you might have had coming out of the movie. But man, it's one of my favorite horror films that I've seen in recent years. I say that about most horror films that I see. One of my favorite. Get Out, one of my favorite. You know, they're all great, but this one, sound design is brilliant. Yeah.
Cool. I'll keep it the time travel theme from earlier. Type in ARQ on Netflix. It's called ARC, and it stars Robbie Amell.
Good for him.
Yeah, the role he was born to play after he got fired from the CW. But it's a decent time travel movie for like a real low budget one. Decent. So if you're a time travel head, you'll like it. If you're not, type in something else. How Stella got her groove back, man.
Sheila, let me see my horses, please. I only have 11 more seconds, but I miss my horses. Also, if you want to cry again, Coco is available for digital download and purchase and rent.
Is this still to Sheila?
Yeah. So I'd watch Coco again if you just got to flush the water out of your face. That's what I call crying. Sheila.
Great.
Anyway.
All right,
I
that's
got hard
good.
on
This is
mine.
Sheila, are you out there? Finally, let's return to our trivia question that we asked earlier, and let's remind ourselves of the question. It was in Doctor Strange when he comes to bargain with Dormammu, trapping him in a time loop. Dormammu threatens by saying, "You will suffer." What callback line does Strange say in response? Let's get on the line.
I got Filup, and he wrote, this is pretty close, I think. It's follow @Fimo on Twitter.
Oh,
Nice little
yeah,
plug
he
before the
did.
end.
That's
Yeah,
weird
you
how
have
he
to do
said
it.
that.
We never get our plugs in
No,
at
we
the end
don't.
of this show because it always falls apart.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's smart. All right. Bottom line, Bechtold says, "That's what she said."
Yeah, pretty
Great
good.
comeback. Yeah.
Wait, and did he also say Beck told you so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
I didn't want to dignify
either one.
the name
What?
pun.
That was great.
It's really good, though.
I think that's what
It's
he
great.
says.
Wait,
He didn't write his name on it.
Dormammu said
Oh,
what?
your name is "That's what she said" in the phrase was Beck told you so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was clear. Anyway.
Erik Voss wrote, "Suffers my middle name. Dr. Steven Suffer Strange." That sounds weird. My parents hated me. This sounds like a Thor Ragnarok joke. I'm so meta.
Oh,
That
wow.
whole
was it.
thing
Yeah.
on this.
It took a long
There you go.
time. Yeah. Worth it.
Well,
Steal his signature. There you
I'm
go.
glad none of us took this seriously, except for Sam. Who
so
wrote
now I'm
two
embarrassed.
great answers. I could do this all day,
Ah.
or I've got all the time in the world.
Which is
Oh,
a
I
better
feel like
answer.
the loser.
What's the correct
There's
answer?
another one. Okay, and our correct answer. I'll just say right on the time of that F bomb. Oh.
If we're there, I think.
Say, someone already said right?
Well, it's a end of the episode. So
Okay.
of course it is.
Look, we
Oh,
know
we're
Grimace
so
and Bruce
sorry.
Willis. And then Bruce Willis went in.
Okay, we've all learned our lessons, and our
Devin.
correct answer was pain is an old friend.
Oh,
Pain is an old
sick
friend.
line.
Yeah, pretty good.
Weird
All right,
line.
Judge,
He
who
didn't
had
say
the
the word
closest
pain.
answer?
Sam was the only one that actually put like Marvel lines.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I think Sam. This is good.
Winning on a
Doctor.
technicality.
Good
Do we even
job.
remember
how I
all the
usually win.
answers for who was the furthest?
Oh yeah, and
You wrote your
so
Twitter
it's-
handle.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, he might have done that. But or would he have said that's what she said?
Or
Beck told you so.
Or that
Michael
whole
Scott,
It's
yeah.
so, it's so
also,
good.
wait, that's what she said is pretty funny because he said that you're gonna suffer.
Yeah. That's what it was an S&M joke.
Okay, Sam and Molina.
Sam is all right. Great. So, as I mentioned before, Sam as the winner, we'll get to our sign-off goodbyes. Filup as the loser, will have to do all the in other news headlines. I'll read the headline. Filup will have to come up with a riff on the spot at the end of the headline. Yeah, does that work for everybody? All right, great. And here we go. In other news, advanced ticket sales for Avengers Infinity War are higher than advanced sales for all other previous MCU movies combined.
Higher than that, Sam watching this movie when it comes out. Because you look like a stoner.
There it is. I got it. All right, next up. The creators of Westworld announced on a Reddit AMA that they would spoil the entire second season to preempt any online leaks, releasing a video that turned out to be a Rickroll prank.
It's weird because that video doesn't look like anything to me.
Yeah, that's good. Next, that was really good. The directors of Infinity War have said they wrote a fake script pages to keep the plot a secret and that no one in the cast knows the full story of the movie.
So unfortunately, this movie will not come out. There's no lines, and people are just wandering around on screen. No one was ever given a script, and it was a huge mistake. And
They're
then time
in full
travel.
costume. Who am I? What character am I? Why am I wearing
real
this
big risk, but $300 billion.
Robert Downey Jr. just enters the scene. He sets up the scene. Everyone yes ands, and that's for 3 hours.
We need an inspiration. Great.
It's Lauren Miller's direction for Star Wars story, essentially, right? Yeah. Now, the director of Pixar's upcoming Toy Story 4 announced that the release date will be June 21st, 2019.
And the toys will be it's like screaming sex toys, right? In my head. Yeah. So not sex toys.
Screaming sex toys.
The toys will be screaming sex toys.
That's a dark turn for
available on
number 4.
Bechtold.com.
Don't bring me into this. I was more than happy not doing any jokes about Toy Story.
Oh man, there's more of these.
There's one more. Handmaid's Tale author Margaret Atwood has said that she believes Star Wars inspired the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
Oh my God, that's insane.
That looks like a Mad Lib headline.
That was
a lot of words.
Yeah.
Something terrible, something beloved, an author people respect, and a popular Hulu channel. Fill it in. Great.
Lightsabers don't melt steel beams.
Yeah, good one.
That's what's not the Death Star blowing up. It's all the collateral damage from lightsabers.
God.
That's good.
Oh man.
Hey, that was good. Well done. You got a lot of good ones in there.
Great.
One of our
Hot
better
take
ones for
by
sure.
Margaret
Yeah.
Atwood, too.
Definitely.
Really hot take.
All right, Sam, take away our good.
Oh, cool! I win one. Don't mess it up. Thank you for watching this week's episode of New Rockstars News. I'd love to thank our hosts. That's me. Erik at EA Voss, Filup Molina at you already got a plug, and Tommy Bechtold at Tommy Bechtold. Do you have what's your YouTube channel where you can get your wife? Where's the wife supposed to subscribe?
Just at Comeback Horses.
And it's on his desktop on his computer.
Come is spelled the way you think it is.
It's a folder
the
with
good way.
MP4s in it.
C-O-M-E.
Comment down below,
The
tweet us, New
dirtiest way to
Rockstars,
spell
like this video, share it around, add Only Stupid Answers. You can find me there. This podcast. I bungled that at the end.
You did
Well, I'm glad we celebrated my mess up. Also on Grimace's Wikipedia page, it basically says he was
orphaned,
retarded.
right?
It says he was born
You
a
gotta bleep
simpleton.
Oh, God. But then he became something so much more when he met
The
Bruce
last
Willis.
entry is Grimace was last seen entering Dodger Stadium in 2011. And there's no more entries after that.
Homework for you guys: do a supercut of the end of all of these videos and put them all together and send them to our parents to shame us.
I love you all so much. I
So
love you.
at McDonald's, I
you.
wanted a sundae with no peanuts on it. And then the next time I came back, the cashier said, "I remember you, no nuts."
God.
She called a 6-year-old little boy no nuts.
Devastating.
I left out the part when I was a little boy.
Yeah, and then your pants were off.
What a hot day when you want a sundae. You could have put on pants.
That little boy's smooth down there.
Little Ken doll has no nuts wants his ice cream.
Perfect.
What kind of 6-year-old comes into McDonald's by himself? Demands no.
Donald Duck walks in.
Little baby.
Porky Pig and Donald Duck walk in, and they're acting like it's completely normal. They're like, he looks good. He looks
Bye.
great.
Oh
I
yeah,
love
right.
you. I love you all
here?
so much. I love you.
Bye.
I love you.